AR-15, which is an assault rifle that the police carry when they do raids, have him down on the ground, holding him down like he did something wrong, which he never did. That's what my addiction did. My addiction turned the lights out. Okay, so back to my story here. As I saw all this unfold, what I let my life be, I allowed my life to now interfere with everybody I love. Now my parents, my son, just everybody, you know. I mean, can you imagine being, and I hope nobody's ever gone through that, being a young man at, 12, 13 years old, being put down on the ground by a gun by police officers because of what your dad was doing. That day, I was arrested for the first time in my life, and I was charged with a Class A felony, drug trafficking in the 2nd degree. That faces 10 years to life. Now, I was never in jail before. I'd never spent a day in jail. Somehow I evaded that, somehow. But my life was falling apart, and I couldn't see that happening. Couldn't see it happening because I was so anesthetized by what I'd allowed to put in my body. But now that this is happening, now that the police are involved, and I'm looking at, and I'm starting to really get a grasp on what things are, because now my life is faced, I'm faced with losing my life. And I know nobody wants to go through that. Nobody should ever go through that. That's what, by my choices, allowing other influences and allowing myself to do that caused. So for the next 2 to 3 years, I'm fighting my case. Well, I was a good guy. I didn't go to jail. I hadn't had any trouble. I don't have a juvenile record. My parents are still together, you know. I was raised in a nice small town. I was an athlete. I pleaded all this to the judge. I even got sober, believe that. Now the law's involved, so I'm going to be sober. So I was 2 years sober, standing in the courtroom, listening to all this testimony. And what really got me is that I'm going to prison. No matter what I had done in the past, no matter the good, all this, that what I had done, what I was involved in, overshadowed anything good. So now I'm facing, and the judge was lenient. The judge only gave me the minimum, the 10-year sentence. So going into prison, sober, 2 years, helped me to get through it and learn from it. Now, I'm not saying, I need to tell you that prison was probably the best thing for me, because it actually changed my heart about what I was doing. I never, ever want to go back to that, because everybody in my life did time with me. My sister, my mom, my dad. My dad passed away while I was in prison, and they wouldn't let me out to go to his funeral because I was a level 4 threat to society. So I missed my dad's funeral. And that was bad. I get out of prison on parole, and my sister has cancer, and my mom has cancer. I missed, by my decisions, by my actions, I missed some of the most important things in the world. And that was to be there when my dad was ill. To be there to hold his hand in the hospital. To be there to speak at his funeral on his behalf. To show him that I was a good boy, and I was a good son. And I wasn't, because of the things I allowed to get into my life. because I changed my life. Prison had changed my life. Being sober changed my life. And I was able to spend all the time with her, a lot out of guilt because I wasn't there for my dad. So in this time, my sister passed away after I got out. My mother passes away. This is all that transpired in the last couple of years. But I'm thankful that my life had changed. But it wouldn't have had to be that way if I would have not made the choice to use, to be involved, to let alcohol alter my head. Those are all of the things that you're going to come up on in your life, if you haven't already yet. And if I could convey anything, it would be that if you don't start something, you'll never have to worry about quitting it. You'll never have to worry about the 12-step program. The commitment that you have to stay in tune with the world, to worry about what people think of you. You know, I was that athlete one time that people were cheering on. And it felt good to be there. It didn't feel good to be in prison. My first 30 days into it, I'm fighting. I'm locked up in the hole. It was the most horrifying experiences that I ever had in my life. My children come to visit me. My daughter, at 3 years old, she comes to visit in the visiting room. And she's like, "Daddy, why can't I stay with you? I want to see you." It had been 5 months since I ever held her at this time, because you can't do any of that when you're going through the diagnosis and any of that. So she's sitting on my lap and she wants to stay with me, but she can't. She's wondering what all this is about because of what I allowed to happen in my life. What I allowed by using, by drinking, by drugging. I just hope that you never have to see that. Maybe by listening, maybe one day when you're faced with it, it won't be so hard to say no. It won't be so hard to turn somebody down, to turn away and walk away. Thanks for listening.